Hey everyone, you ever notice how people expect you to react? They push your buttons, test your patience, try to pull you into their chaos because they want to control your response. But let me tell you something, silence is power. And not just any power, it's discipline, focused, unshakable power. Silence is often misunderstood. In a world where everyone is quick to speak, quick to react, and quick to make their presence known, silence can be seen as a sign of weakness or indecision. But the truth is, silence is one of the greatest forms of strength. It takes courage to hold your tongue, discipline to resist the urge to react, and wisdom to know when your words are not needed. Silence is not a sign of surrender, it's a choice, a deliberate and calculated choice that says, I am in control. When you choose silence, you are choosing restraint. And restraint is not about backing down, it's about stepping up. It's about understanding that every moment doesn't require a response and every confrontation doesn't deserve your energy. To remain silent in the face of provocation is not to admit defeat, it is to show that you refuse to be controlled by someone else's actions. Silence says, you don't dictate how I respond, I do. The power of restraint lies in the ability to hold your peace, even when your emotions are screaming for release. It's easy to lash out, to fire back, to let words fly without thought. But restraint demands more of you. It asks you to rise above the moment, to see the bigger picture, and to act with purpose rather than impulse. It is in the moments when we choose silence over reaction that we demonstrate our true strength. We show that we are not slaves to our anger, our frustration, or our pride. Silence also creates space. In that space, clarity emerges. When we speak too soon or react too quickly, we often miss what's really going on. But when we pause, when we allow silence to take over, we gain perspective. We begin to see things as they are, not as our emotions would have us believe. This clarity allows us to respond, not react, when the time is right. And sometimes we find that no response is the most powerful one of all. There is also a certain mystery in a world filled with noise, silence has an undeniable power. People often associate silence with passivity or weakness, but it is anything but that. True silence is intentional and grounded in confidence. It speaks volumes without uttering a single word, and when backed by purposeful actions, it carries a weight that words simply cannot match. Silence has the power to captivate, to command respect, and to leave a lasting impression that echoes far beyond the moment. When someone moves with quiet confidence, their actions do all the talking. Words are fleeting, they can be forgotten, dismissed, or overshadowed by the noise of others. But actions are undeniable. A person who lets their results speak for them doesn't need to boast or explain themselves. Their achievements are their voice, and that voice is louder than any proclamation. This is the essence of walking the walk. It is a strength that cannot be faked or fabricated. It is built over time through focus, discipline, and execution. Silence, when paired with action, also creates an air of mystery and intrigue. When you choose not to announce your plans or explain your every move, people are left to wonder what you're up to. They can't predict your next step or gauge your intentions, and that unpredictability is powerful. While others are busy making noise, seeking validation, or trying to prove themselves, the person who moves quietly and purposefully is already ahead. This quiet confidence disrupts expectations and demands attention not through words, but through undeniable impact. It's important to understand that silence is not inaction. Silence is a strategy. It's a way to conserve energy and focus on what truly matters. While others waste time and effort trying to justify themselves or win arguments, the person who embraces silence is working, building, and creating something that cannot be ignored. Silence allows you to channel your energy into what will ultimately speak the loudest results. And when those results come to light, they speak for themselves in a way that no amount of talking ever could. Moreover, silence demonstrates self-assurance. A person who is confident in their abilities doesn't feel the need to constantly explain or defend themselves. They understand that their worth isn't determined by what others think or say, it's determined by what they do. This quiet confidence not only strengthens the individual, but also inspires those around them. It shows that true power doesn't need to be announced, it is simply lived. In moments of silence, there is also clarity. By stepping away from the noise, you gain perspective. You can observe, analyze, and make thoughtful decisions. And when you act, those actions are deliberate and meaningful. They are not reactions to the noise around you, but intentional steps toward your goals. This kind of silence isn't just about staying quiet, it's about staying focused. Ultimately, actions rooted in quiet confidence make the most noise because they leave no room for doubt. They show the world who you are, not through what you say, but through what you do. In a culture where words are abundant, but often empty, the ability to let your actions speak louder than your voice is a rare and remarkable strength. In the heat of the moment, when emotions run high and tensions escalate, the natural instinct is to react. A cutting remark, an impulsive action, or a raised voice feels like the most satisfying way to respond to provocation. But the truth is, reacting in the heat of anger or frustration rarely leads to a productive outcome. Instead, it often leaves behind regret and damage that cannot be undone. This is where the power of silence comes in. Silence, when chosen with intention, becomes a shield, a protective barrier between your emotions and the chaos of the moment. Silence in moments of provocation is not about weakness or avoidance. It is about strength, control, and self-mastery. It takes far more power to hold back a reaction than to lash out. When you choose silence, you refuse to let someone else dictate your emotional state. You refuse to be a puppet to someone else's anger, insults, or attempts to provoke you. Instead, you take a step back and allow the storm to pass while you remain grounded and composed. This restraint is not a sign of indifference, but of wisdom. It shows that you understand the value of your peace and that you won't squander it on meaningless battles. When you practice silence in moments of provocation, you gain the upper hand. Most people expect an immediate reaction. They are prepared for retaliation, for shouting, for conflict. But when you remain silent, you disarm them. They are left with nothing to feed on, no energy to fuel their anger. Your silence confuses them, forcing them to confront their own emotions without the distraction of your response. This pause often leads to a de-escalation of the situation, as the lack of reaction denies the aggressor the satisfaction they seek. Silence also gives you time to think, to breathe, and to process what's happening. In the space created by silence, you can assess the situation with clarity. You can decide whether the provocation is even worth addressing or if it's better left alone. Silence allows you to choose your response wisely, ensuring that when you do speak or act, it is from a place of intention rather than impulse. This kind of control is empowering because it puts you in charge of the narrative rather than letting the situation control you. Beyond the immediate moment, mastering emotional control through silence has long-term benefits. It protects your relationships, your reputation, and your mental well-being. People will come to see you as someone who is steady, composed, and thoughtful, a person who doesn't get rattled by small provocations. This kind of respect is earned through consistent restraint and the ability to rise above petty conflicts. In the end, silence is more than just the absence of words, it is the presence of strength. It is the ability to shield yourself from the chaos of provocation and choose peace over pride. In mastering emotional control, you demonstrate a rare and powerful discipline that speaks louder than any angry words ever could. Silence is one of the most underestimated tools in understanding people. In a world where everyone is eager to speak, to explain, or to defend, choosing to remain silent can be profoundly revealing, not of you, but of others. When you stay quiet, especially in situations where others expect you to respond, it creates a void. And in that void, people tend to fill the space with their own words, actions, and intentions. This is the mystery of silence. It draws out the truth, often without you needing to say a single word. Staying quiet forces others to show their hand. In conversations or confrontations, silence often makes people uncomfortable. Most individuals are so accustomed to back and forth exchanges that when one side doesn't respond, they feel the need to overcompensate. They keep talking, revealing more than they initially intended. They expose their thoughts, their emotions, and often their motives. Silence acts as a mirror, reflects their behavior, and forces them to confront themselves. And in that reflection, you gain insight into who they truly are. Silence also creates an air of mystery. When you don't immediately react or disclose your thoughts, people are left to wonder what you're thinking. They can't predict your next move or determine your stance, and this uncertainty compels them to reveal more about their own position. Whether it's in negotiation, conflict, or even casual conversation, your silence shifts the power dynamic. It puts you in control, not because of what you've said, but because of what you've chosen not to say. People begin to reveal their intentions, their insecurities, and sometimes their vulnerabilities, simply because they don't know where you stand. In many cases, silence also forces authenticity. When you refrain from interrupting or reacting, it allows others to speak more freely. In that freedom, the masks they wear often slip, and their true selves emerge. This is particularly valuable in building relationships or assessing trust. By staying quiet, you allow the other person to fill the silence with their truth, unfiltered and unprompted. What they choose to say or not say reveals far more than what you might have uncovered by speaking. Silence, however, requires patience and discipline. It's not always easy to hold your tongue, especially when emotions are high or when you feel the urge to clarify your perspective. But by resisting that urge, you gain more than you lose. Silence allows you to observe, to listen, and to truly understand the dynamics at play. It lets you gather information without tipping your hand, giving you a clearer picture of the situation and the people involved. Ultimately, the mystery of silence lies in its ability to shift focus. When you stay quiet, it is no longer about you, it becomes about them. In your silence, others reveal their truths, their priorities, and their character. And in that revelation, you gain clarity and understanding. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of wisdom, patience, and an undeniable strength that compels others to reveal themselves fully. Silence is one of the most underrated yet powerful strategies in navigating life's challenges. In a world that thrives on immediate reactions, constant noise, and the demand for instant validation, silence can feel like an unnatural choice. But in truth, silence is a calculated decision, a refusal to waste energy on battles that don't matter or on situations that don't deserve your attention. Not every reaction deserves your energy, and silence is the tool that allows you to conserve it for what truly matters. Reacting to everything is exhausting. Every argument, every insult, every minor inconvenience seems to call for a response, but responding to everything only drains your focus and diminishes your power. Silence is a way to reclaim that power. It is a conscious decision to step away from unnecessary conflict and emotional chaos. When you choose silence, you are choosing to protect your peace, your time, and your mental well-being. You are deciding that not everything deserves a piece of you. And that choice is liberating. Silence is also a way of filtering what's truly important. When you refrain from reacting, you give yourself the space to evaluate the situation. Does it matter? Will engaging in this moment make a meaningful difference? Or is it just noise, a distraction from your greater purpose? Silence gives you the clarity to see the distinction. It allows you to focus on what aligns with your goals and values instead of being pulled into unnecessary conflicts or petty disagreements. By staying quiet, you maintain control over your energy and your priorities. In many cases, silence is a more powerful response than words could ever be. People often expect a reaction. They expect you to defend, to argue, to retaliate. But when you choose silence, you disrupt that expectation. It sends a message that you won't be drawn into negativity or manipulated by others' attempts to provoke you. Silence can convey strength, confidence, and self-assurance far better than any argument could. It says, I don't need to engage with this because it doesn't define me. That kind of composure speaks volumes. Silence is not about passivity or avoidance. It is about strategy. It is about recognizing that your energy is finite and that you must use it wisely. Engaging in every conflict, defending yourself against every criticism, or explaining yourself to those who are unwilling to understand is a waste of your resources. Silence instead allows you to rise above the noise, to focus on your path, and to save your energy for the battles that truly matter. In the end, silence is an act of self-respect. It is an acknowledgement that you don't owe anyone a reaction and that your peace is too valuable to be squandered. By choosing silence, you choose to remain steady, focused, and in control. You remind yourself and others that not every situation requires your voice sometimes. Your silence is the loudest and most strategic statement you can make. In the fast-paced, noisy world we live in, stillness can feel foreign, almost uncomfortable. There's a constant pressure to act, to respond, to fill every moment with activity and sound. Yet it is in silence, true, intentional stillness that we find the clarity and strength we often seek elsewhere. Growth, whether personal or professional, demands reflection, and reflection requires silence. It is in these quiet moments that transformation begins. Silence is a space for clarity. When the noise of the outside world fades, you are left with yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, and your truths. At first, this can feel unsettling, especially if you've been running from those things. But sitting in silence allows. Silence is not just the absence of words, it is a profound and deliberate presence. Throughout life, silence manifests as a source of strength, a shield in conflict, a tool for growth, and a strategy for preserving our energy and focus. It challenges the norms of constant reaction and noise, offering a different, deeper kind of power. To understand silence is to understand control not over others, but over oneself. It is a form of mastery that enables us to navigate life's challenges with wisdom, composure, and intent. When we choose silence, we assert our independence from the chaos around us. It becomes a boundary, a way of saying, I will not be swayed by the noise, provoked by the conflict, or distracted from my purpose. This doesn't mean avoiding responsibility or retreating from action. Rather, it's about taking deliberate action when it truly matters. Silence allows us to evaluate, to think, and to choose how we wish to show up in the world. It is the quiet strength that reminds us we are in control of our energy and responses. In moments of provocation, silence shields us. It disarms those who seek to provoke, shifting the power dynamic and exposing their intentions. It gives us the space to reflect, to act from a place of calm rather than impulse. Silence prevents us from feeding into unnecessary conflicts and ensures we retain our dignity and focus. It teaches us that not every battle needs to be fought, and that true strength lies in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. As a strategy, silence forces others to reveal themselves. When we withhold our reactions, we allow people's true characters, intentions, and insecurities to surface. Silence grants us the ability to observe and understand more deeply, giving us a clearer view of the world and the people in it. It is a tool of discernment, allowing us to decide what deserves our attention and what does not. In this way, silence not only protects our energy, but also directs it toward the things that truly matter. Silence is also where we grow. In stillness, we find the time and space to reflect, to face ourselves, and to gain clarity on who we are and where we're headed. It is in silence that we reconnect with our inner voice, the one often drowned out by the noise of daily life. That voice guides us towards strength and resilience, reminding us of our purpose and our potential. Silence becomes the fertile ground where transformation takes root. Ultimately, silence is a choice, a deliberate, powerful choice. It is not a sign of weakness or surrender, but of strength, strategy, and self-awareness. It is the space where we recharge, the tool we use to navigate conflict, and the foundation upon which we build our clarity and strength. By embracing silence, we find not only peace, but also the power to move forward with purpose. So let your silence speak, let it protect, let it grow you, and let it remind the world that even in quietness, you cannot be overlooked. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this: not every battle deserves a reaction. Sometimes the greatest move you can make is none at all. Confuse them with your silence. And then when the time is right, let your actions speak for you. Stay calm, stay steady, and stay silent. Because the loudest one in the room is never the strongest. Walk with purpose, move in silence, and let your impact make the noise.